I heard this anecdote about you and Joe Satriani. Can you tell it?
Yeah,
Anecdote
so
about.
Joe Joe was somebody that I freaked out about when I was a kid. Somebody first turned me on to Not of This Earth on vinyl. That's how old it was. They gave me the vinyl, the album for Not of This Earth. And I listened to that a lot, and I thought it was really cool as a younger kid. I'm trying to think what age I was about that time. I want to say maybe 16, something like that. So I listened to that album a lot and copped a lot of his vibe at that age. And so obviously Surfing with the Alien. I'm probably a pretty typical Joe Satriani fan in that I gravitated towards the big ones. I Not of This Earth. I had Surfing with the Alien on cassette, and I had Flying in a Blue Dream right after that. And so those were kind of the three that I listened to a lot of from Joe. And um, yeah, so as it turns out, with Trans Siberian Orchestra, I kind of like guitars that look really cool and fun to look at. That's a whole big part of that show. It's such a big pyro laser light show. And so I kind of gravitate towards the really cool guitars. And I thought, that JS1, the Chrome Boy, that is a cool looking guitar for that gig. And it turns out that my tech on Trans Siberian Orchestra, Galen Henson, his name is a talented player, knows Joe very well. In fact, he was Joe's second onstage guitarist when he was his tech. He teched for Joe and would actually be the guy playing rhythm guitar on stage. And I think Galen kind of passed along regards, and Joe became aware that I was playing his model guitar on the Trans Siberian Orchestra gig. And I think that was the first time we maybe started exchanging some inboxes, which I did not abuse. Somebody like that decides hey, let's have a rapport and talk. Maybe once every 6 months, I'll check in with him or something. But I saw he was going to be on the Monsters of Rock cruise, and I just sent him an inbox about, hey, it might be nice. I know you're going to be really busy. I'm busy on that cruise as well, but I said, maybe we can have coffee or something. It'd be cool to be able to say hello in person. And he said, well, how would you like to come sit in? And I was like, oh my gosh, dude, I'm there. Let's do it. So yeah, I got to go up and play with one of my childhood guitar idols, and that was great. And I had a similar experience with Steve Vai. Steve Vai and I have gotten to know each other through an email thread that Jeff Watson runs. Jeff has all his friends, guitar friends mainly, but some of his other friends on there, and we exchange emails, and Steve is one of those people. So I've known Steve in that forum for quite some time. And he's a great guy. And then when we were on the farewell tour, I kind of thought, hey, man, I saw that Vi was playing on the same bill as us at Hellfest. And I said to David, hey, wouldn't it make sense? This is your farewell tour. Let's ask Steve to come play with us. And David said, if you want to arrange it, I'll leave that with you. And he said, I'm up for it if you can figure it out and figure out how it'll go. And so ended up working out really cool. Steve wanted to come walking out in the solo section of Still of the Night and Wail Away. And it was so much fun. And cool opportunity again right there to be like, wow, here I am standing next to one of my guitar heroes mainly from when I was a kid. But I mean, Steve Vai's skills, obviously, always major respect for that. Mainly just his rhythmic knowledge, all the Zappa transcribing, and I mean, man, listening to Little Green Men is almost more impressive than listening to his guitar shredding. When you listen to what went into that, it's what a brilliant arrangement, especially he was just a kid when he was doing that. And anyway, he's an immense talent, and it was awesome to stand on stage with him. And I feel like in a lot of ways that's been the way things have gone for me, where I'm able to just get up on stage or jam with people who I really admire. Especially when I was younger, but even still to date. I mean, all these people are still people that I admire. Joe Satriani is incredible. So it's just fun for me to have that. I don't know how else to put it. I could do the I'm not worthy thing, but I think it's just you just try and do the best. You see the way it works for me. I mean, I just have kind of done my best in all these things, and I've never claimed to be like the greatest guitar player in the world or anything like that, but I just do my best. I just try and nowadays especially try to be myself more in the situation, try and be comfortable with who I am, what my strengths are, and also understand my weaknesses, and not have a problem with it. Like acknowledging that everybody's got their own, and that's in life in general. Like understanding not just your playing, but understanding personal interaction, the way that stuff goes.
You have also appeared with on the TV show Dancing with the Stars with Gene Simmons, who was the judge, and you played the guitar on this show. Yeah, can you tell something more about this event, this show?
Yeah, that came about from one of the stage managers from the Broadway show Rock of Ages that I was a part of. It was just kind of like a campy comedy show about that time period with what they call hair band music. I don't really like that term, but the 80s hard rock stuff being the music for it. So he had advanced up to working on Dancing with the Stars, and they were looking for a guest musician on the show, and he happened to throw my name out there, and it got traction. Like they asked me to do it, and I mean, it was a unique experience. That's again one of those weird ones where you're like, never did I think I'd be playing guitar on Dancing with the Stars, but super cool experience. I think 2 million people were watching, something to that effect, on any given episode. So they shot pyro off my headstock while we were playing Rock and Roll All Night when I was doing a little solo. And live TV is very scary, my friend, when there's a lot of people watching, and there was a lot of logistical things that you'd probably find very funny. Like my amp was in the hallway, so I didn't have direct access to pedals or anything like that. You're just on a wireless, walking around the studio, going to the different places. And of course, as you know, I actually played, you only really see me on camera on 3 songs, but I think I played 7 with the band. And a couple of those required being down a half step. Rock and Roll All Night, it's one of them. And I don't have access to a tuner. So if you look at me, if you look closely, you'll see in my back pocket, I got a snark. And I'm popping it out on commercial break live on the air, trying to get my guitar to sit in the new tuning, going. And meanwhile, they're going, can you do this bumper out to commercial? We're going to come back from commercial and just you with the dancers. And like, oh, yes, I'm trying to get my guitar in tune. And all panicked. And it's very stressful doing live TV. That was a stressful gig. And I would say one of the funniest ones was for Here I Go Again, that version of that. They initially had me standing on the ground, and they had the dancers around the car. But they liked what I was doing on the camera, and they said, would you be willing to stand on the car? And I said, sure, I'll do it. And so we had a little run through, and they had a tarp on the hood of the car. I had these really slippery shoes on. I was trying to wear these real glammed out, blingy shoes. And I thought Dancing with the Stars, go with all that kind of glittery stuff. And so my shoes are kind of, sliding around on even on the normal floor. So they had this tarp up there. I'm like, okay, I feel pretty good. But when it came time, we were live on TV, I go to get on the car and the tarp was gone. I said, where's the tarp? And they said, oh, they didn't like the way it looked. We had to, we took it off, and I'm going, oh, dear God, my feet were like sliding around. And so you see, I go down to one knee at one point in time, which is a move I do a lot. But I was kind of like, dear God, don't let me fall off of this car while I'm up here and make every reel across America of guitar fails. It was very similar with the pyro, by the way. So what they did with that is they had a remote. Well, no, I guess a receiver remote in my pocket. And there was a wire that went up to the actual pyro. And so they could trigger it with a remote, right? But there was a wire. And I did think it was a little weird when we were rehearsing it. Like there's a cable and you can see it. But right when we were going live on TV, they're like, "Oh, they don't like the way this wire looks," and they said, "Can we tape it to the back of your guitar neck?" And I was like, "Sure, okay," but like I'm live on TV trying to play guitar, and I've got like this big piece of gaff tape running a wire along the back of my guitar neck, and I'm going, "Don't screw up, don't screw up." Jesus. It's a funny thing when you have pressure like that. It can make playing very simple things really hard. That's when you start to analyze like things that you normally don't, where you go, whatever. It's just rock and roll all night. It's an easy song, right? Okay, just rock out. But like you start to think about everything in those moments, and that gets in your head. And I was just like, oh, just please get me through this without screwing up majorly.
But you make it. Finally, you make it, and everything was nothing failed. Yeah.
Nothing failed. It was great. I mean, they were awesome people. I had a really good time. And I had, with Brandon Gibbs, we had just opened for Gene Simmons maybe a few weeks prior to that at an acoustic show for us. Gene did it full band. So it was cool. Gene talked to me a lot there out of the blue. I was really surprised, but he talked to me for like an hour or something like that. And so it was cool to see him at Dancing with the Stars. And he was really... I said to him, shockingly nice and cordial with me. I didn't expect it. I kind of expected Gene to just kind of be a little more jaded, like the outward persona is. But I think on the inside, when you get to know him, he's just a really nice guy.
Yeah. We heard a lot of anecdotes and things about Gene, that he's a little, I don't know how to say it, but yeah, it's not. Maybe not the nice, but anyway, he's not the easy person to work with. Yeah.
I didn't really have to work with him. I mean, we opened for him, and he obviously did the judging, and I was playing on that. But he was very complimentary and very cool. And when Brandon and I opened for him, he was just really a nice guy. He just wanted to talk music, and obviously he has a history with Cher too, so he was interested in the fact that I played guitar in there for a while. So that was kind of neat to touch base about that stuff.
You also recorded Natural Thing on Michael Schenker album, My Ears with UFO. Sometimes when I talked with musicians, they say that, okay, they are guesting on some albums, and they only recording their parts in their home studio and sending by email, to this musician that they play on his record. So how it was on this case? Have you met? I think I see your pictures with Michael Schenker, so you met him. But anyway, how it looks like on this album? Was it like that you record your part, send it?
Exactly. I recorded literally right here where I'm sitting. This is where I recorded the guitar solo on that. And there's a bit of a funny story, because it was during Whitesnake rehearsals, and I went in. I sometimes go down to Melrose, which is a cool store. You can find sometimes some cool stage clothes there or whatever. So I was just kind of going in and out of the stores, and I go into one of the stores, and the only person in there is Michael Schenker. And I thought he was trying on a shirt. I thought, I guess I should say hi. We're the only people in the store. I mean, it was literally just, I thought I could say hello. And I thought, nah, maybe leave him alone. And then I thought, no, go say hi and just introduce yourself real quick. And so I did. And I thought the conversation went horribly. So I said hi, but he didn't seem like he was all that interested in talking. And I kind of went away and was saying to myself, oh man, you idiot, you shouldn't have bothered him, and blah, blah, blah. And, but then I think that invite, as it turns out, Michael Voss, his producer, was talking with Michael about, who were some other guys, and he said, Joel Hoekstra and White. And Michael said, yeah, him, I met him. He's really nice. And so it happened through this meeting that I thought, oh my God, that was bad. Like, I shouldn't have said hello, and that didn't go well. So it just goes to show that I guess you should always say hi in those moments where people question that, because that led to being asked to play the guest solo. And then the pictures that you see of me with him are because Michael was on the Monsters of Rock cruise this past year, and I was invited to get up and play the song with him. And so that gave us the opportunity to meet for a second time face to face. And he's obviously a legend, and I'm honored to be affiliated in any way, shape, or form with him.
What do you think about IA? I mean, artificial intelligence, because now we see many, well, not many, but sometimes appeared some new album of the new group, and it appears that it's artificial intelligence created it. Yeah. Do you think it's disturbing, destructive for musicians, for professional musicians? Because some people say that there are pros and cons. I mean, there are but how it looks like from your perspective, how you see this AI as a danger for musicians?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's getting really good, isn't it? I mean, I think those initial, did you hear when they had the initial, we asked AI to write a song that Kurt Cobain would have written if he were alive, and I think it was Jimi Hendrix. And those weren't that good. I listened to those and I was like, you can hear that this isn't a real recording and it's just kind of using little, but it's getting good now, I think, like some of the versions of the songs. And Rick Beato did a couple demos on what it is to create an artist and create a song that doesn't really exist. And I mean, dude, yeah, it's scary because I think like, certainly like in the placement world now, if you're making a movie, you can have your music be AI generated, background TV, AI generated, pretty easy to do that type of stuff. And I thought what was Rick Beato made a really good point on there too, is that even if you, let's say you were somebody who actually did go on and track it, you could have AI do the writing and nobody would ever know, which is kind of terrifying. That you could, hey, write me 12 songs in this style, and within a matter of seconds have 12 songs in that style. And even if you went back with real musicians and you recorded it, it still feels kind of weird. I mean, I'm not going to roll that way. I'm just going to keep rolling old school, and whatever happens to me, happens to me. I will say the other day, I watched some video and it ended up on some, what I thought was a compilation album looking thing. And it was like, gritty, dark country or something like that. And it almost sounded like Chad Kroeger from Nickelback singing like this country tune. And I thought, oh, this must be Nickelback. That sounds like Chad Kroeger. Like, did they do like a crossover kind of track? And I was liking it. And I got about 2 minutes in and I realized this is AI. I'm listening to an AI generated song here, and it freaked me out. I was like, oh man, like 2 minutes in and I'm listening to something that's not even human generated. Awful. Yeah. So who knows? I mean, dude, anything can happen with AI. I don't think any of us really know. I think ultimately having some guidelines in place to protect humanity, protect people, protect artists is going to be very valuable. But I mean, I'm a simple man. I'm just going to keep doing what I do and hope for the best.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. I don't like that kind of, I also like to listen to the music that was created by the musicians. They put work on it, and they take time to create it, and the creativity, the imagination. Yeah, it's not it's it's piece of shit, I can say. some kind. Maybe sometimes it's helpful, and for some reasons there are some maybe positive things, but generally I'm not into it anyway. Okay, can you mention any false information about you that you often heard? Is there anything that many times you heard, but it's not true?
False information about me.
Yeah. Anything like that you heard?
Nothing comes to mind off the top of my head.
Uh-huh.
I think there's some online. I have to draw the line somewhere with what I do on social media. Like I'll I reply to inboxes. If people inbox me, I reply to everybody. And in the comment sections, I tend not to do because I got to draw the line somewhere, man. If there's 194 comments on something, I've got to go through and reply. Or you're just picking one or two out and pissing everybody else off that you didn't reply to them and you replied to these other people. And so I tend not to reply to comments, and people think that I don't care, but I do. I read them. I just kind of opt out on like spending the time going through and replying to everybody. So I think there's some people that are like, oh, he's not good with his fans. I feel like I am good with my fans. I reply to all my inboxes that I get. And as you know, I mean, you inboxed me about doing this. And so I get back to people. I'm good with that. And I'm definitely good like in person with meeting people on a gig. So like spending time, whatever, talking with fans, or that's all stuff that I'm really good at. It's just one, so maybe that, because I don't comment in the comment section. So sometimes people think, oh, I read some guy recently that said, oh, he's too big time to comment, like too big time. And I was like, no, I'm not too big time. I'm just trying to, like, I have to play guitar. Yeah. What am I supposed to do? Spend all day on social media? I don't want to do that. I want to play my guitar. I have music to work on.
Yeah, exactly. It's your job, and you cannot just stand on the computer and just write back to everyone. It's not possible. Anyway, I see your T-shirt now, and it's and there is I think Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you are a fan of basketball, yeah? I think you are.
Yeah. I haven't been playing as much in recent years. I did get out and play the other day, and I was surprised it was all still there. I was like, man, I'm still doing all right. Like my shot was still there, and I was actually played pretty well. So that was nice. Made me feel not too bad. But yeah, I mean, I'm mainly fond of that era because I grew up in the Chicago area right when all that was very like much just happening in a very organic way. Michael Jordan didn't come in like, oh, Michael Jordan arrives. It was just kind of their draft pick. The Bulls selected this guy out of North Carolina to play on the team, and we heard, oh, he's good, but there wasn't the hype that ended up being the way his name is nowadays at all. So yeah, it was a cool experience. I mean, and Chicago is a big sports town where we all grow up into the sports. I'm very much following the Cubs right now, hoping that they can do well in baseball this year. So those are kind of the two that I follow the most, baseball and basketball.
Yeah, but what else we don't know about Joel Hoekstra? What we don't know generally? Is there some, apart from playing guitar, apart that you like sports like basketball, baseball, is there anything more that we don't know about you? Something, I don't know.
I'm pretty boring, man. My stuff when I get done with music, because music is the majority of my day, and then outside of that, I tend to be really kind of normal. Like I want to watch a movie. All right. And I'm a big one of those people that watches a movie over and over if I like it. So I'll watch a movie 20 times or something like that. And that's my wind down at night. I'll put on a movie that I like and watch that, or any type of video just to kind of at the end of my day. That's typically how I end every day, is like an hour or two to wind down and do that. And I'm a pretty basic guy, man. I mean, I like to eat. I try not to eat, but but I like to eat. I mean, pizza is great, and it's simple stuff. I'm not into the fancy meals. I'm into very basic stuff. Yeah.
Anything you want to add to this interview? Maybe something that I haven't mentioned and it's important to tell about it. And yeah, is there anything like that?
You covered most of it. There's obviously a lot of stuff along the way that gets left out when you have a really long career like I've had. Just the trajectory of it. Locally in Chicago, joining Kathy Richardson's band, who sings for Jefferson Starship these days, was part of the process. Being in that Love Janis show about Janis Joplin. I think it's interesting to understand that a lot of the stuff you get comes through different things that lead to it. It doesn't just come out of like sitting home. You end up doing something and then they pull you in to do this. Like I'd say from Love Janis, being in the oldie scene, playing with the Turtles, playing with Big Brother and the Holding Company was part of the process for me. Touring with those more 60s kind of bands. And I would say then subbing on pit stuff, like on Broadway, where you're not even visible, you're in the pit, like reading the music, got me the Rock of Ages gig on Broadway, which was 6 years. And that led to a lot of things. I mean, when I was in Night Ranger at that time, we toured with Foreigner and Journey. And so when Mick Jones went down, Foreigner's manager, Phil, had been to the show and seen me playing Foreigner songs in the show, and I was asked to fill in for Mick Jones. So filling in there was a tremendous honor, as you can imagine, filling in for Mick Jones on very short notice. All these things just they have a tendency to add up if you just kind of work and get out there. But those were important parts of the trajectory that all should be mentioned as well. And here we are. And you never know where it's all going to go. That's the thing. You just kind of keep going and hope for the best.